Testing, 1, 2, 3. Testing, testing. All right. Ready? Okay. Call special meeting to order. Village clerk, please call roll.
Burgess.
Here.
Jones.
Here.
Myers. Here. Tate. Washington. Here. Williams.
All right. We're going to go to item number 2, review the ordinance dissolving the Emergency Telephone System Board of the Village of Sauk Village and authorizing the Village of Sauk Village in a joint emergency telephone system board created via an intergovernmental agreement for the purchase of transitioning Village Emergency Dispatch Services to the Village of Calumet Park. Before we get started, first of all, make sure your mic's on. Second of all, we're sitting in a dome, so it sounds like we're vibrating, but the residents behind us cannot hear you. So as you're talking, whoever's talking, if you would, please make sure you grab the mic and talk really loud into it, even though it sounds like we're drowning ourselves out. If you just hold it till it turns green. There we go. So, and we're going to open up the floor. To the gentleman on the end, if you would, please do me a favor, if you would, for the record, state your name, so that we have it for part of the record. All right. Yeah, make sure you use that mic, because they'll be yawning if they can't hear you.
Is it ready? Yeah.
Yeah.
Howard Fisher with Calumet Dispatch Center.
All right.
Good evening. My name is Mark Davis. I'm the Executive Director of Calcom.
And I'm Gerard Corrigan. I'm with Calcom also.
All right.
I'm the Fire Chief of Calumet Park Fire Department, also the Deputy Director for the 911 Center.
And my title is an Assistant Chief of Police in Calumet Park.
Alrighty, so I think it was, 2 or 3 meetings ago, the village board asked that we could get a little bit more better understanding about this ordinance. I don't think I was at that meeting, so we've asked Calumet Park to come out and give a little bit more explaining to the ordinance that is before us tonight. So, do you have anything you want to start with? If so, let you start, and then I'm sure the trustees have a ton of questions.
Okay. I don't know if I have enough copies, but
I made a couple extra, but
well, not the ordinance, but something from the state. That's my highlight. They're all stapled together. It's 6 copies of the state's plan for the consolidation. I think it was effective January 1st of 2016. A Public Act 99006, which significantly amended the Emergency Telephone System Act under 50 ILCS 750. The ESTA is Emergency Telephone System Authority, and repealed the Wireless Emergency Safety Act for the purpose of consolidating 911 systems in preparation for a statewide conversion to the next generation 911. Now, in my interpretation of that is that the state will be taking.
still going around. You got to share. He's only got 6 copies.
Oh,
You're going to have to share. You're going to share.
We're going to need about 5 more copies.
And it's my opinion that what the state is doing is that in the future, the state will be creating its own 911 network, which means that instead of the networks we're using now, everything will go through the state. The state has made plans to take the surcharge of money from each municipality or dispatching community and put it in the fund, and it will distribute that surtax money that we're accustomed to getting. The state, the phone companies was giving it. The state is now taking over. So I don't know what the date is, but I know that I was in Springfield last year, and they told us that the state is planning on doing it. Now, what their plans are, I'm not quite sure, but they did lay down some policies for everybody, which state that all existing 911 boards will have to be dissolved. This is a state law and it's effective. And you have to not only dissolve that board with an ordinance, you have to create a new ordinance for a joint emergency board, which means that this community here will have to create its own ordinance, dissolving the one that you have. We understand that? Is that clear, everybody? Further, the money that they're taking, that was divided up among the different communities, the state will now distribute those funds. You will no longer have the opportunity to receive those funds until after the state had decided what your share is. Is that correct?
I can elaborate a little bit. Traditionally, we were getting 911 surcharge monies from landline-based telephones, and some wireless systems were paying in also. The state redrew the law. We now get 87 cents per line, whether it's landline, VoIP, which is voice over internet protocol, which is the cable phones, so to speak, and traditional phone lines, cell phones, etc. Any form of telephone you have now all pay 87 cents per month of a surcharge or a tax. This money, instead of coming to the 911 boards as it traditionally did, is now going to the state. The state is taking that money and they're using it to create 911 systems in counties that don't have 911. That is the priority for the money. There are, I think, 8 counties in Illinois that don't have 911. So they're taking all our money and spending it on those counties. On top of that, they are taking the leftover monies. They created a new board. They took oversight of 911 statewide away from the Illinois Commerce Commission and handed it to the state police. They're taking monies that those same monies, a portion of it is going to the state police to run our 911 boards. Once they have the 911s in place, they're going to take those monies and create what's called an ESI or EZNet, which is an advanced phone network system that is capable of supporting next generation 911 phones. We at CalCom, which you guys are a part of, are already set and in place for that. Part of the reason that you came to us was that the state required we all move to 911, and we moved to a next generation 911. So Sauk Village, along with Cal Park and CalCom, we're ahead of the curve in that, so we're not looking at any expenses when they hit the other communities with those. But part of what we were doing is that the requirement was that any community with a population of less than 25,000 would have to combine emergency service telephone boards into a community, into a joint board that it would have at least 25,000 residents. This does not affect your contract with CalCom for dispatching. It has zero effect on it. This is the overarching board that would run CalCom, run whatever 911 board we see fit. But the actual dispatch center and the 911 boards are completely separate.
Are there any questions? Anybody clear on up that?
Trustee Cates.
I heard you say,
It's not working?
I heard you say that one will be created by the state committee. Right. For state, one member state. That's correct. And I heard you say that 87 cents every dollar. I'm sure the new system is called.
87 cents of it. Every phone bill in the state. So your cell phone bill, your house phone bill, there's an 87-cent charge on everybody's phone bill. There traditionally it was a 55-cent tax on landline phones or copper line phones from AT&T. Now they've changed it. They're charging 87 cents for every single phone, whether it's cell phones, internet phones, whatever kind of phone you have. They charge 87
Okay, then how this new animal that's going to be created, population's 25,000 or under, how are they going to be funded?
We're still funding ourselves the way we are. The villages themselves are funding our 911 services. That surcharge money we're using to supplement it in the past, it was never enough to run 911. It wasn't even remotely close enough to run 911. So the villages and towns were using that and supplementing with from their general funds. Well, now basically what we're doing is we're using our general funds to run our 911, and that supplemental money, that few dollars we were getting a year. It's a Cal Park, I know it's about $8,000 a year we were getting, which would cover uniforms for our dispatchers. That money was supplementing what we were spending on 911. So instead of getting that money, now the state is keeping it.
Well, he said the state is keeping the money, but you get your phone bill, whether it's a cell phone bill or a regular landline phone, there's taxes that's taken out of that. Well, now the state's taking that money instead of money going directly to the municipality. And then they're going to redistribute it. Now, we don't know what formula they're using to redistribute it, but they're going to redistribute it. And we understand that there are a number of communities downstate that don't even have 911 capabilities. They're going to help fund them build new 911 facilities with that tax money. So the state, I don't say they just took how they, because they're the state and the government, half of the government state of Illinois, they had the authority to pass get this law passed. And it's mandated by everybody. Everybody who has a 911 capacity facility has to comply. If you don't comply, you don't submit a plan, you're not approved, the state's not going to give you any of the money.
Okay, still, this joint board, I wish we could find another name for it, that's going to be formed.
Yes.
There are no guidelines for it yet, correct?
By every community.
So what will happen is you have a current 911 board.
Correct.
Bylaws. What will happen is you'll dissolve that 911 board. We'll create a new 911 board. We being all the member communities.
Okay.
So Sauk Village, Cal Park, Midlothian, they're all our systems. So we're all going to combine. We're going to create a new 911 board with representatives from each community on this board. We're going to create a new set of bylaws that match the state requirements. And we'll still have a 911 board, but instead of one community involved in it, it would be all communities involved in it together, but everybody having their representatives on the board.
But since the state has the money,
Yes.
then each community fund this new entity.
No, don't confuse what you're paying for 911 dispatch services, for emergency service, for people to answer the phone and dispatch your police officers. The 911 board is something separate. You already have a contract for your 911 services. So that is in place, it's running, it's operational, whatever anybody thinks of it, it's there, it's operational, it's running. The 911 board is something else. It's an entity that oversees the 911 money that comes in, and it is there to kind of in stewardship of those 911 funds to make sure they're spent appropriately.
Are they salaried, the individuals on this board?
No, the individuals are appointed by the mayors, or as they would be in this community, and there's no pay, there's no anything, it's just a board. We appoint, you'll probably have certain trustees, a police chief, a fire chief, as involved in your 911 board. It'll be the same thing with our joint board. It'll be a volunteer basis, and we're just there to oversee. If through some miracle we do get any of the monies from the state, then we'll be able to redistribute it based on the monies that come in allocated to each community. Let's say Sauk Village came in with 33%, Cal Park 33%, and Midlothian 33%. Well, then the board will decide if those monies will apply to Sauk Village's bill for CalCom, or if they're just going to give Sauk Village the money back, and then Sauk Village can choose to do with it, whatever 911 type stuff.
The board becomes a voting entity with representatives from every single community,
That's correct.
which we've seen in most 911 centers.
Yeah, most 911 centers already have this board in place. It's just a matter of us creating this board to meet the state requirements. It's not going to change how we do business with you. It's not going to change your bill to us. It's really just
A little bit. I turned it up.
Sorry.
Hold back a little bit.
It's really just a governmental procedure kind of thing to keep us in line with the state. It's more than anything.
What is the composition that each community is going to have for forming this new board?
That's going to be up to our mayors. The mayors of our current communities will assign someone to create new bylaws, and then once we create the bylaws, we'll decide as a group, do we have one, do we have two, do we have three? As long as we have enough to meet what's in the state requirements, that's how we will do it. It'll be very similar to your current state, to your current 911 bylaws. It's the same as Cal Park had to dissolve it. Our 911 board and Midlothian has done the same thing, and there'll be very similar bylaws governing how we operate. The state the requirements are very strict on how it runs. You have you're allowed a certain amount of members and have to have a certain amount of members. So.
And the state is mandating that you dissolve your current board through an ordinance and create a new board through ordinance. And each municipality has to comply with that in order to be for the state to accept.
Can't hear you, sir.
The state is demanding that you dissolve your current board, the STB board, and create a new board, create a new ordinance, creating a new joint board. This is under the state, it's mandated. Any community that does not comply, then the state will not allow you to operate. Is that pretty clear?
Yeah, I'm still confused. You're going to create, each community has to dissolve the
You have to
existing
dissolve your
board
current.
and create an ordinance for the new board.
Exactly. It's two.
But there are no criteria for the new board.
Yes, there are criteria that are set. There's criteria that's set down by state law as to what the bylaws are. The criteria are that we have to serve a population of 25,000 people at least. In counties where there's a population of less than 250,000 people, they have to create one board to oversee the whole county. In counties like Cook County where there's over 250,000 people, we can create multiple 911 boards, but the board must serve a population of greater than 25,000 people. So the bylaws are basically written out in the state statute. We gotta have a fire chief, a police chief, an ASDA for each community. And it lays it all out, so there's not really a whole lot of wiggle room on what we can do. It's going to be very, very similar to your current 911 board.
And where you talked about where the mayors would pull everyone from each community, it's by state statute, which you already mentioned. You know, your police chief, your fire chief, and your homeland security, or as the coordinator or director, they would be on this board. If I remember right, I think the mayors, whoever's the sitting mayor, would have a vote on the board.
That's correct.
So it's something similar, especially the ones that went to other 911 centers when we were visiting other 911 centers before we went to a joint dispatch. They talked about, if you remember, some of this stuff coming up and what the boards would consist of.
Okay, at the beginning, at the onset, when you first spoke, the mayor said at the beginning that we had asked you to come to explain the creation of the 911. But really we asked, at the time the mayor wasn't at the meeting, but we asked to have you guys come here, also as CalCom, because we have some other concerns and questions. Are you at this time prepared to answer some of these questions in regards to, because I see that you're the EXO executives, and we have some concerns, but that'll be second. The first thing I wanted to find out with this creation, the board, oversees, this new 911 board would oversee the existing 911 that we have that you spoke about within CalCom, correct? It would be like the school board overseeing the school district. I'm sorry, yeah, something like that.
Yes, something similar to that, yes.
Okay. And when it does happen, because it will happen, who would raise the rates or who would make recommendations? The new 911 board, the existing 911 board, or the state?
Raise the rates on
the surcharges.
On the
your phone,
surcharges.
yes.
The surcharges are mandated by the state. So the state has set our surcharges. We can't change them.
Okay.
It's going to be 87 cents per phone bill, period.
Now, it's stated in your summary that if there's money left over, it would go back to the state, and then it would have to be reapplied by the different boards as in the form of a grant?
No. As of currently, the way the state has set it up, they're taking our surcharge monies. They've also taken our 911 operating bill. So the 911 bill itself, the bill that AT&T gives to 911, they've taken that bill away from all the communities, and the state is paying, well, they're supposed to be paying that bill. They haven't paid it yet. They've collected all our money. They have, as a matter of fact, they have about 97 million sitting in the fund, and they're not paying the $1.5 million per month that AT&T is paying. So they're collecting the interest on that money.
So who ultimately has to pay that?
The state.
Okay, so
The
we're not
state.
obligated. Even though the state's not paying, we're not obligated to pay.
We're not going to be obligated. The state is taking control of those bills and taking responsibility for them. Yeah. Sorry, I lost my train of thought. So, as it's set right now, the state is requiring that counties that don't have 911 get 911. So they're using those monies from everybody's phone bill to create 911. So our phone bill taxes are creating 911s in counties that don't have 911. Once that is done, the state wants to create this ETSB, which is the network that will run next generation 911. It's basically an advanced fiber optic network that will be run by the state. There are several different versions of it out there. I think 2021 is when they want it up and running. There's a study that was commissioned along with this bill that is due in 2018, when there's a new round of laws that are going to pass. I'm going to screw this up again, pardon my language. But the state, as of right now, for the foreseeable future, we're not going to see any 911 funds coming in. The state is going to usurp all those and spend it as they see fit.
So basically, the counties that don't have the means, or because someone has to be, if you have 911, you have to be connected to someplace.
That's
it's not
correct.
just out there floating. So if they don't pay, I'm just wondering, the counties that don't pay, I'm sure there must be some type of surcharge. But we're going to underwrite, or this particular bill is going to underwrite those counties that don't have the money. And if we don't do this, then we won't have 911 service.
That is exactly what has happened. The state has chosen to have us underwrite the rural counties in the state. And there's a bigger overarching picture on this, is that there's a lot of federal money coming into the state for Homeland Security and 911, and part of the requirements is that they have this advanced 911 next generation in place. And the state is not going to get that. They're obviously not going to spend their own money on it. They're going to spend ours on it. And that's how they're doing it.
Okay, because the reason I'm asking right now, we just passed the minimum budget. Will this money that we pay in also be obligated or be stopped? In other words, if we don't have a budget, will they hold this money as if they hold the property money for the different states, or can this money still flow because it's there?
No, this money is not flowing. The state is taking it from the 911, from your phone bill, and it's going right into your pocket. So when the state used to send us a check every month or every couple of months for a few pennies on the dollar, we're not even seeing that anymore. So basically they're leaving us to fund ourselves without any outside help. So they basically gave us a wave.
Okay.
At some point, you're gonna get that money. Once everything is in place, and like we they tell you how much money is taxed and they send you that money. Well, the state's taking that money and now they're going to redistribute that money to the communities. So you're not going to get it all, but you will get money back. I couldn't tell you how much you're going to get. The state's not going to keep all the money and give you a small amount back.
Is there a ratio to that? In other words,
they haven't disclosed how much you're going to get back out of that. See, if you pay them $10,000, they're going to take whatever the top of that off, and then they're going to give that back to you. And you can take that money, and perhaps for those communities where you get a lot of cell phone calls, and the public knows that now that the cell phone is generating more calls for service than the landline phone. Eventually, we want, cell phones to be something we'll talk about, back in the past, because it's on its way out because of the creation of the technology, advancing technology for the cell phone. So, but they'll still be taking that money because every call that's generated, they know what it is, the taxes on each call, and you have to pay it on each bill.
so basically it'll be population distributed. In other words, who has the most in each system. Say CalCom has 25, EastCom has 35, 40,000. So it'll be prorated that way as far as...
It'll be based on the number of calls. So you can have 25,000, but you can have 50,000 calls
Okay.
in a period.
So whoever has the most calls will probably get the most money.
We don't know. You're going to get a good share, though.
There are several different
There are several different variations that the state has put out, but the bottom line is, for the next 10 years, we're not going to see a dime, at least.
Excuse me, you said 10 years?
Realistically, yes, for the next 10 years.
That's a large piggy bank.
Yes, you're not going to see a dime, because they're going to invest the money in this statewide fiber optic network, which is going to cost untold billions.
So basically what they're doing is getting ready to do this with the money that they're getting from the
That's
the
correct.
users.
That's correct.
But in the meantime, how are we going to fund our own 911?
We're going to fund it the way we've always been funding it, which is through our general funds. We've always funded it that way. We've got a pittance from the state. Like I said, in the nature of Cal Park, we got $8,000 a year for 911 funds. I'm sure Sauk Village is not much different. They got a few thousand, and we funded the majority of it through our general funds. And it's just going to continue. We're just going to continue to do that. We're not going to count on the state for anything other than they're forcing us to create this joint board. So we will just create it to keep them over there, and we will keep trying to serve our citizens best we can.
Okay. After this is over, Mayor, I wanted to ask questions about CalCom itself, but I want to get to this. Okay, because that was the reason, I'm sure all the trustees that were here at that time was the reason why we've asked Mr. Fairman to have them come out so we could discuss some of the things that were going on in CalCom, but I did not know that they were coming out for this reason, because this was self-explanatory, something that we talked about prior, but I was thinking that maybe they were coming out so we can at least let you guys know what the people are talking about as far as the system itself. So how?
Well, if you give me a little window or something, I'll be glad to come back and sit down with you. Okay, wonderful.
Because there is some discussion about personnel that we want to discuss.
Can I hear you?
And the statute spells out pretty plain that what you can and what you can't spend money for. Now, if we, for instance, if we have a major portion or something goes down on one of the main computers in the 911 center, and we don't have any money, are you saying that the state has all this money, the state will pick up the cost of it? That's not what it says in the statute. It says we will pick up the cost of it.
No, but we're going to be holding the bag ourselves. But, we haven't counted on the state for monies for trying to protect our citizens for many years, and I wouldn't count on the state for any monies to try to protect our citizens for many years to come. I don't see them changing the way they do business. They're going to put the money in whatever pork barrel project they see fit and leave us here in the south suburbs to fend for ourselves like they always have. As you can tell from my comments, you can see my view of the state and what they've done to it.
Okay, so the money that the three municipalities has that forms up the joint board, I'm just using the figure now. I'm not sure what the amount is that our 911 board has. Let's say we got $90,000 in it. That money, are you saying that that money is going to have to be turned over to the state the minute that this joint board, or is that money going to be pooled together into the joint board account and put in a separate fund for the members of that board to use as they have, according to statutes?
The monies that are sitting currently in our own 911 boards will remain there. Sauk Village could choose to use it to pay its 911 bill with Calcom. They could use it to any other allowable expense that the statute allows, whether it's computers for the squad cars, whatever the case may be. We're not taking any of your money away. Calcom's going to...
I didn't say that, sir. I asked it to turn it to the state.
Yeah. No, the state is not going to get its hands on the money we currently have. We're going to keep that, and we're going to use it as we see how it's best going to benefit our citizens. With Calcom, we're putting it into a capital fund, so we have some money sitting there in case a computer breaks, and we have some money sitting there to fix it.
One last question. As Director Davis stated earlier, we are pretty much so mandated by the state statute, which I have the law here, and I guess we are mandated, that we have to form a joint. If there's one or more, you have to form a joint board. Let's say any municipality don't decide to join a joint board. I know the state can come in and well, I believe the state's attorney, not attorney general probably, will come down on us with big fines. And can they also move us to a total location that we don't want to go to?
Absolutely. The state can and will, and is planning on moving several communities that don't comply with this law. They're going to move them to, they're going to put this community with whatever board they see fit. To say, if Sauk Village didn't combine, they would, well, we're going to combine you with Crete, just because you're close. So rather than giving the state the choice on where we go, we're going to, as communities, try and band together and go where we think we can serve our citizens best together, rather than having the state decide for us.
To submit a plan, and they're giving you enough time to be able to submit a plan, and they have to accept your plan. Now, there are a few communities that state they've already submitted their plan, and the state's already told them, no good, buddy, that we're not going to allow that. You have to submit something that we accept. So you can't say, well, you know, one community said, well, we got all this traffic coming through I-57, so that should help increase our population. They says, no, that doesn't work. You know, the plan is 25,000 residents. You don't have that, then you got to have a very extremely good reason why you don't want to consolidate. And they have to accept it. And so far, they haven't accepted anybody that did not meet their qualifications, you know, their requests. You have to have a plan.
There have been about 30 waiver.
There have been about 30 waiver requests so far to the state. The only waiver requests that have been accepted are some communities that have requested more time to gather the correct documentation to submit a plan. Other than that, no waivers have been issued because people don't have enough population and they think it's technically unfeasible, or they spent money on a new 911 room 5 years ago, and or they can't afford it. They're not accepting any excuses. They're forcing us to do it whether we want to or not. Absolutely.
They feel like this is too many small dispatching centers throughout the state. And, you know, it's my contention that they want consolidation now, so when they get ready to move to the new network, they want consolidation now because when they get ready to move to the new network, it would be very easy for them to do it when everybody's been consolidated instead of having to do it with 150 communities. You may only have to do it with 75. And it makes it much more easier for them to consolidate.
But we've already done that, correct?
That's correct. That's correct.
So this is not about that, because we've already contracted to CalCom. So that doesn't have anything to do with this. If we don't agree on this particular ordinance, it's not going to, will it nullify our agreement that we have with CalCom?
No, our intergovernmental agreements are in place.
Okay.
We're going to continue to serve you. You're going to continue to expect the service from us that we should provide.
Right.
But the state may come in and say, no, you're going to be, if you don't comply with their law, may say, no, you're going to be part of this ETSB, and this ETSB can then, having overarching powers over 911, can say, no, you can't be over there, you have to be over here. We want you with our 911 system where you're going to pay us.
So basically, if it is no, then what you're saying is the state may come in and say, okay, well, you don't want to go with that, well, we're going to put you with another municipality. And in the meantime, the municipality says, okay, if you come with us, you got to come all the way.
Exactly. Okay. Yes, they have us where they want us, basically.
Well, I mean, we didn't know this was coming. Back last year when we did this, we didn't know that it was going to actually be, we figured it was going to be all one, everything would be together, but when they separated it, then that's when you're coming with the problem, because they're just now separating this. What's the deadline for this?
The deadline was actually July 1st of this year, but we submitted a waiver requesting time to...
And the reason is because you didn't have a third person, correct? A third municipality.
We did have commitments from Midlothian at that time, and they accepted. We were able to show a letter of intent.
Okay.
And the state said that's good enough, and we said we want
we
want some time to get all the documentation in place so we can combine.
Because the last I heard it was Blue Island, and that's what I was, it was not Midlothian, it was Blue Island, so I didn't know that it was Midlothian until 2 weeks ago.
Yes, Midlothian has joined the Calumet system. There are several other communities that we're also in negotiations with, but that's neither here nor there. The point at hand is that we get the ordinance in place dissolving your ETSB so we can move forward with our application to the state to create the combined ETSB and keep them off our backs.
Now, I'm going to not put you on the spot, but yeah, I'll put you on the spot. In creation of this particular entity that we're getting ready to go into, do you now see any increases in any software, hookups? I know you all are shaking your head, but I'm asking these guys. Right, I'm saying, will they charge us any more money?
No, there is, Mr. Mayor, I can... Right.
You're asking questions about how we're here to talk about this agreement and solving an agreement between Sauk and Calumet Park. Calumet Park is not Calumet is not Calumet Park.
Okay. Well, this agreement with Calumet Park, do you see any foreseen or any?
In the creation,
It's not Madam Clerk. It's not that I'm not getting it. I don't want to come back next week and say, okay, since we added this, now we're being charged this. That's all I want to do is make sure.
The Open Meetings Act, officer, what we're trying to explain is we're working on a special meeting agenda right now, and there's only one item on this agenda, and that's the dissolution of the ESTB ordinance. We must stick to this agenda. We must discuss only the ESTB as we have.
I'm asking.
The ESTB is going to exist exactly like it currently does. There's going to be no fees, no
That's all
nothing.
I'm asking.
It's just a governmental created board
all.
that is.
That's what I mean,
Yeah.
because I'm sure in your municipality, I'm sure if you go in bed with someone, you create something new, there may be unforeseen costs, and you would like to know ahead of time. I don't want someone to come back next month and say, wait a minute, we're going to do this. That's all I want.
No, absolutely. There's no fees. There's
Okay.
no anything associated. It's just an intergovernmental mutual aid agreement to create a joint 911 board, and that is the extent of it.
That's all I wanted to ask. I mean, it was nothing. I didn't know it was Open Meetings Act just to ask a question because. Next time I'll just ask the clerk first before I ask you guys. Okay, thank you.
Okay, I'd just like to ask the board, have we been clear? I mean, does everyone have some clear concept of what direction you're going in? Is that we need to discuss something? That Lexology document I gave you, if you look over that, it's very clear. It'll explain you step by step the process, and you can understand, exactly what they're saying.
I haven't heard you address consolidated plan.
You haven't heard us address it. You have to submit a plan to the state.
Consolidated, which means all the communities involved. Aren't they required to have a consolidated for all communities participating?
Yes, but we cannot move forward with that board until we dissolve our current board, get approval from the state to create a new board, then pass ordinances creating the joint board. At that point, we will sit down. The mayors will most likely appoint a representative to create the bylaws, keeping in line with the state statutes. And at that point, we will create the board, and every community will have their equal say-so in the new board.
When the state says you've been approved, that's when you can sit down and
Is there a date that the state, are you looking for a date from the state?
Well, they gave us till July 1st to submit the plan. We asked for a waiver and extension, and they gave us an extension because when we asked for an extension, we explained very clearly why we wanted an extension, and they agreed. So for CalCom now, other communities who have to submit a plan, I don't know what they submitted to the state, and I don't know what the state's response to it, but we're concerned with CalCom and Calumet Park. We have asked for it. So once we get all the paperwork, the IGAs, and the creation of the members, and the board is created, I guess then we'll have that big meeting and we'll sit down and we'll iron out, directions we need to go for each member of that joint board.
No.
Myers? Yes. Tate? Washington? Yes. Williams? Burgess?
No.
Mr. Mayor?
And motion passes. Move that number 4. All questions and comments, Mr. Chair, to the mayor, this is going to be 3 minutes of comment. Each speaker will be allowed the opportunity to speak on agenda items. If there's anyone that would like to come forward, please make sure you come forward. Move through this. Do what we stated for the record.
Ernest Brewer, I just got a quick question. It's my understanding that this 911 board will be established, and Calumet Park is like southwest. Is there a board that's going to be established for southeast municipalities under 25,000?
Each community is going to have to make some sort of arrangements to have a joint board.
each community is going to have to make some sort of arrangements to have a joint board where we serve a population of 25,000 people. So it is going to be Sauk Village, Calumet Park, and Midlothian at this point. Only us three. So other communities have 25,000 in population and don't have to change the board. The smaller ones, like I know Linwood is combining with Justice and Willow Springs. So we were just trying to move around where we can keep the state off our backs and continue to serve our citizens without interference from the state saying you have to go here or you have to go there.
Now, my last question is, am I understanding that 87 cents per line that the state is going to take over eventually? Okay, so Sauk Village won't have that in their coffers to deal with, right?
No, the money is going directly to the state from your phone bills.
And then we bill them, right? Bill them for our portion, whatever.
The state has taken the 911 phone bill, just like you get your phone bill at home. There's a phone bill for 911. It used to come to each municipality. The state has taken over that. So now that 911 bill goes to the state, but the state in turn has taken the taxes that everybody was contributing to run 911 in their communities. The state is taking that money and they're putting it in their own coffers to pay that 911 bill and do whatever else they see fit.
But we'll bill them eventually for our portion. Or they'll just say what our portion is.
No, they already have. They already have it. They have it in their. They have it already.
Okay. Thank you.
You know what?
Burgess. Here. Jones. Here. Myers. Here. Tate. Washington. Here. Williams. Here.
All right, with that, number 2, review the HR P.L.A.N. 0522. Logistics Center agreement. I talked to Tom today. He apologized for not making it out, but I've got all the information on it. Maybe you received your packet. So, let me give you a brief description on this, and I give her an update. This is another road project here we're looking to do here in Sauk Village. All right, this would be the logistics center. Can I give everyone a little bit of background here? In approximately 2003, we received funds through what they call the Jesse Jackson Jr. Grant. I don't know if everyone remembers. Those funds were approximately $472,000. IDOT ended up taking those funds from the village of Sauk Village and just recently sent us back in March of 2014. The village approved an IDOT local agency agreement that would get reimbursement for engineering expenditures previous for the TIF fund for Logistics Center Drive. And as bad as it working louder, it don't work at all. There's a balance of $305,000, $193, so approximately $305,000. And according to IDOT, we can use these funds only for Logistics Center Drive. So what we're coming before you tonight is to take the remainder of these funds and to finish the top coat of Winpack Drive. So that those funds be used. We've got estimated costs, what it's going to be. And I don't know if we can, we're having a meeting. So if everyone out in the lobby knows we're having a meeting here. All right, so
So we're looking at approximately $350,000. That's an estimated cost. That'd be the engineering cost. That's redoing Winpack Way. And we have $305,000, which the remainder of the amount will come out of TIF, since it's sitting in a TIF. Again, this is usually, kind of give you a little bit of example, usually what happens is the developer of the property would go ahead and do all this work, and then they would turn around and request for the TIF funds to be sent back to them. And they would get approximately about 90%. Well, what we have is, we already have $305,000 from what was known as the Jesse Jackson Jr. grant. We can use that money only in the logistics center. We can use that money to do this road and still be way under what we would have to pay the developer for finishing this road. So that's why this is a recommendation that is before you tonight, to use these funds to go ahead inside the TIF area where they have to be used to be able to get this road resurfaced. Are there any questions? Yes.
So the $305,000, that's out of the Jesse Jackson fund, correct?
Yeah, we call it the Jesse Jackson because we got it under Jesse Jackson Jr.
Now, the $45,000 or whatever, because you said $350,000.
I think that's what they're estimating. Again, we'll know for sure when the quotes come in. But the engineering company, I think, was estimating about $350,000, give or take.
And that will come from the TIF?
The remainder would come from the TIF. Trustee Myers.
The road from Cottage Road to Markham, correct?
No, it does not go all the way to Cottage Grove. It does not. Winpack Way stops, there's a detention pond between Cottage Grove and Winpack Way. And there's a circular little inlet. If you go down, you'll see a great big circle, and if you turn right, it takes you where the trucks and stuff go to Winpack.
I thought for sure I read on that proposal it goes from Cottage to Mark Collins.
Our first proposal was to go through there, but there was some environmentals that we were unable to do that because of those detention ponds and stuff being there.
Originally, my understanding was that would also be a second means of egress from that park. But I know there's been 3 times in the last 4 years that we have fire department has totally blocked all employees, trucks, cars, and everybody else in that park as long as up to 8 hours. They had no way out. And that's what I thought the main purpose for this is, giving them another access out. Because when the power line fell across the road, the high tension line went down. We had everybody sealed in that park. The only way that people could get out if they had four-wheel drive, they cut across the field. But I'm confused now. So there's just going to be an addition to.
I will follow up and get you the information. But last I talked to them, this is the top coat.
Mm-hmm.
You know, right now we have, what do they call it? The first initial, the liner, can't remember what the first coating of asphalt is called.
Right.
The second coating is with the top layer. So this is to put on the top layer along Winpack Way.
Now, bringing up my second question. That 350,000 or 350,000. That's what they propose is going to cost us a little over. Now that's going to take the weight. I'm no truck driver or expert or anything, but those trucks coming in and out on that road is pretty heavy, and that's what it's going to take to secure that road.
That's correct. So they'll have all the engineering studies and stuff, and they'll figure everything out. But again, their rough estimated guess is about $350,000. And then again, it will be presented to the board. And again, we've had a lot of talk with IDOT to find out exactly what we can use those funds for.
Mm-hmm.
And you're right. I think the original plan was to go all the way to Cottage Grove, and there's just not. I don't think there's enough money. I'll double check. But, we've had many discussions on this. There was never really enough money to
Originally, something had to do with a stoplight, but they couldn't have two stoplights within a certain area. And then the other one was the ditch over there. That's one of the, I think that's part of the, not Lincoln Lansing, but the part of one of the ditches that runs through Stager and everything. They said they didn't have the money to build an adequate bridge over that to get the trucks in and out because of the trucks. That's the reason I asked the question, is the road's going to be heavy enough to handle these big trucks.
The roads were developed for large trucks because this is an industrial site. So this is putting the top layer of the asphalt, which has never been put on.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, Trustee Richard.
We'll be talking about Winpack Way. Are we talking the road just south of Winpack? Is that what we're talking? As you come down Mark Collins Drive, you get to the first road to the left. Are we talking about that road right there?
Yes, sir.
Okay, and that's the one that goes around to, I guess you call it the extension of the new Winpack, right?
So you're not talking about going all the way to the extension. You're talking about doing the road in front of Winpack going all the way down to the end.
Oh,
So it'd be from Mark Collins all the way down.
all the way to the retention pond, basically.
Up to the circular in there.
Yeah, because if you were, and I know what you're talking about, having another road built just north of Winpack, just past the railroad tracks that feeds right out to Cottage Road. That would be more than 300,000, much more.
I think it was like over $1 million.
Yeah, that would be much. But my question though, when you go north of where we're talking about, are we gonna have to float a bond, or will that money come out once they build that and resurface that and put that in there for Winpack? I call it Winpack 2, or like another word, Winpack 2. Will we have to float a bond for that?
I'm going to say right now, I don't think we'll have to as of right now, because the top section of the asphalt for the whole entire section has not been done. This would be the first road that will have a top section. We're also working with EP Partners, because EP Partners was the developer for all those roads.
Right.
It's their responsibility to put that top layer on. So Tom has been working with them to find out what we can do for them to finish the roads. There was a lot of discussion about, as they wanted to wait putting the top layer on until the whole entire site was built. And if you remember, there was phases we went to, phases 1, 2, 3, 4. Well, the other phases have not come to fruition. Okay, so now we're going back to DP Partners and saying we need to have those top layers put on. There are some other things that happen. If you notice that usually your top layer comes up where your curves and stuff are, it usually comes down, and usually there's a gap between your curves. One thing we did make DP Partners do, way before my time when they were building this, is we had them build up those edges up to the curves so we wouldn't have any damage to our snow plows in the wintertime when we're plowing snow. So what you're looking at is when they're putting this top layer on there, they'll have to go through and have to grind, or they'll have to remove asphalt along those curves, so that the new road, when it comes on, it will come up and be even with the curves. So there's a little bit of work that has to be done for these roads, but we are in discussions with DP Partners to find out, what's the next steps we get these roads finished.
Is there a deadline? I mean, do we have to spend this right now? Can we wait until after Winpack 2 is finished, so we can find out how much it would be to go all the way around? And maybe we can come up with something that you just got to state that the TIF could take care of. Because if we finish this, then you're going to come down on the slope when you go north on that street, just for Winpack 2. And I'm just wondering, first of all, is there a deadline? Do we have to spend this right now, or we will lose it, or can we wait until they'll be finished by the end of this year? I'm pretty sure.
No, we're looking to spend this money because we had the IDOT agreement going back to 2014, and we've been looking at ways to spend this money. We've been making sure we're communicating with IDOT so that money's just not sitting there. They know that we're trying to figure out how we can spend this money since the state was nice enough to return it to us. Okay, so you talk about Winpack and new expansion. All of the new construction work and everything will not go on Winpack Way. They're taking it all the way around across down back by
That's what I'm saying, going down north, go north.
Right. So by us being able to do the first road, first of all, we can go off and show the developers of the property that, you know what, here's what we want the rest of it to look like. And find out what we got to do to move forward to get the rest of the industrial park completed.
Just because if, like we did before, and quite naturally the TIF is paying for it, when we did the concrete and the asphalt with, because DB Partners did it, we had to pay it back, we had to float a bond. This is going to be a similar situation where we're going to have to maybe float a bond to finish this, and I was just wondering if we could, you know, incorporate all that into one and then see how much this will go in conjunction with trying to finish the rest of it. So
yeah, there's no floating the bond to finish this.
no, not this. I'm talking about finishing
Yeah,
the second.
I can't see it floating the bond, to be honest with you. This is the developer's responsibility to go ahead and do everything. So again, his funds would come from TIF funds. Once the work is done, he applies for TIF reimbursement. Yes.
Is this road accessible, or is this fenced off or anything? I mean, to get a visual, I just want, you know what I'm saying?
If you turn in your WinPack is, and you turn down Mark Collins Drive off of Sauk Trail, it's your very first road, you make a left. That's where the work would start, right there at Mark Collins Drive. Going down, that's called WinPack Way. Take WinPack all the way down. You'll see there's a little cul-de-sac. And then if you look to your right, you'll see the brand new parking lots and stuff that WinPack has already put in. If you make a right, you can go past the WinPack in front of the building. They'll come up to their trucks. You go past their trucks, you can see all the new construction. They've got a 350,000 square foot building. Walls and stuff are already up. And construction's already going. Any other questions on this one? Trustee Gates.
I just need a clarification. I'm seeing Baxter Woodman identified as a village engineer, and I thought that Robinson was a village engineer, so I'm confused.
It's very, for a new trustee, it's understandable. Baxter Woodman is our TIF engineers, and Robinson Engineering is our engineers for all over the village. So Baxter Woodman covers all the TIFs. Now we have TIF area codes, areas 2, 3, and 4.
So it should not say village engineer, it should say TIF in there, correct?
But they're still village engineers, they just cover the TIFs.
Well, I think it should be distinguished between the two. That's why I'm confused, because you have two different firms.
Okay. All right. Any other questions? All right, hearing none. We'll go to have this on the agenda for approval on next Tuesday night. Item number 3, review the municipal code update. We got village clerk has been working on this.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Okay, if you could look at the packet I just gave you and start with the back page first. The back page is when I first presented it to you, you had questions about what the $18 per page was comprised of. So I contacted Municode. So the first quote included 378 pages at $18 per page, the graphics at $100, and the updated media, which is basically the DVD, which was $75, and they were going to ship 5 copies of the supplements to the code book, which we would have had to remove the old pages from the code book and insert the supplement. And that was at a cost of $7,004. So then I went back to them and I said that the board would like to know what does the $18 comprised of. And they said the $18 per page on page 2. Now if you go to the second page, the middle page, it says the $18 per page covers the entire codification process from your editor to your proofreader, your indexer, your printing, and everyone in between. So in order to update the code book with the ordinances that we provided, that's what the $18 covers. Also note that the cost estimate is cushioned. Once the supplement is completed, we will only invoice the village for the actual number of pages generated by the inclusions of the amendments. So I asked them what it would cost to have one complete code book in a binder, totally updated. That would be at an additional cost of $382.50. So if you look at the first page, it says it's $7,004. That only includes copies of the supplemental pages to be inserted in the code book. And the second price you're going to get is the $7,004 plus the $382.50 would mean it would cost $7,386.50 to get 5 sets of supplement pages and 1 complete code book and a DVD with the code. And as always, whenever we update our code, it gets updated online. So then I went back to them one more time, and I said, can we have a couple more options? What's the best deal we can get for our money, and what can I bring to the board? So if you look at the very front page, you see option number 1 and option number 2. Option number 1 includes the same 378 pages at $18 per page, the 10 graphics at $100. The full PDF code, you can download the PDF code. We can print as many copies as we want off of this PDF copy. So we bypass them having to do the printing for us. We've got our own binders, we've got our own tabs, we have them from the books that we've already made. But they could give us no copy, but just the PDF of the code for $6,904, okay, plus tax. So that means that we would make all our own copies. Then I asked them, well, can you give me a couple copies? Okay, what will it cost to get at least 2? I figured the police department, the clerk's office, should have at least an updated code book. So with that, they gave me an estimate of $7,316. So that includes 2 completed copies, and we will make our own copies for however many code books we want to produce. So these are the estimates that you have in front of you, and I'm really not expecting you to read all through this tonight. This is not something we have to do in a hurry. I would like to bring this back to the board at the next committee meeting after you've had a chance to thoroughly look at it, and maybe everybody can weigh in on how you want to proceed. If you have any questions, those that are attending the IML this week, James Bonneville is actually our Unicode representative, and he loves to talk to Sauk Village when we go down there. So if you have any questions, you can bring this with you, and he can express not only how this is beneficial, what's better, but he can also tell you what else Unicode has to offer. But everything comes with a cost. So at this time, I'd just like to give you the information. I'm open to questions. James Bonneville is open to questions, and bring it back in 2 weeks.
Question.
Trustee Jones.
If we do print this out, you'll be putting it together and tagging and everything.
That's what I did it last time with the help of summer help, but we don't have summer help, so it'll be me.
Trustee.
What is the source for either option of paying?
General fund.
I'm a little concerned we didn't. A few weeks ago, we couldn't come up with $4,000, actually $189,000 for Republic to keep it from cutting off the garbage pickup. We couldn't come up with that money. But now we're going to come up with $7,000. So how are we doing both? Either we have the money or we don't have the money.
Well, I understand your concern, Trustee Tates, but I've been asking for this to be included in the budget for 2 years now. You continue to let your code go behind. It's detrimental to the people that have to work with your codes. It's detrimental to the residents who want to find out what the most current code is for cutting their grass, for parking their car, whatever the case might be. I've been going to the board and I've been asking this to be included in the budget. Matter of fact, before your last budget, I asked it to be included. The board is the one that sets the budget. I'm just trying to get this process completed. Your code book should actually be updated quarterly, if not annually. And as far as getting a brand new recodified book, we haven't had one since 2013. I don't know how they used to do it in the past, but I think we need to do that every couple of years. And the fact that we can get a PDF copy and make as many copies as we want, whoever wants a copy, the trustees, the police department, fire department, code department, village clerk, the ordinance review committee, is something you have to do eventually. If you look here, we've got ordinances from 13016 to 16016. We're talking 3 years here. This is a board decision. We can continue to do what we're doing and working out of an outdated code book, or we can, at some point, you have to find the book. So where you get the money from, that's a board decision. I'm just bringing you to the board.
No, it's still my question. I understand all of the background that you just talked about. I understand all of that. I'm just saying this board asked, where was the money going to come from? There was a proposal to deal with Republic, and the board asked, a trustee asked, where are we going to get the $400,000 from? Okay? And I think it kind of floated in the air. So I'm still saying, if we didn't have $400,000 to avoid entering this 14-year contract with Republic, how do we come up suddenly with $7,000? That's my question. Either the money is there or it's not there.
I think it's a great question, and when it comes back before the board, we'll discuss on where the funds are available, and if we're going to be able to have funds. If we don't have funds available, then we'll go through. But at least the village clerk has done all the legwork, to bring the cost back to the board, to let the board know exactly what it's going to cost. So, Trustee Williams.
I know that when we talked about this 2 weeks ago, the same question came up. Excuse me. And I know that we talked about, was it something that could come out of publications through the budgets of the various departments? And I know that Trustee States made a concern that if it was going to come out of different departments, that the department had to be aware so that they know that this portion of this line item was going to be removed and that they would then have to work around that within their budgets. I think it's something that definitely should be looked into because, as the clerk said, we haven't done this. And I mean, we're not mandated to do this by any means like we were with the last meeting. But it's something that would be good. You've got your police officers, you've got your code enforcers out there writing codes. They may not know what's changed, what's updated. So it's something that we should do. And I agree, you know, $400,000 we couldn't find, but $7,000 and $400,000 are a little bit different. So if we can look and see where it could be from, I think it's something we can look into. So is that something that can be done? The clerk asked for it to be on the agenda in 2 weeks. Is that something that, can we look at it by then?
We'll put it on the agenda in 2 weeks. We'll talk to Mohan. We'll look at, have JW look into what we can do to, where the funds are coming from. Trustee Myers.
I've already spoke to Mohan. He said he was sitting down. I did go through a couple of the department publication. If we fully take it out of publication, excuse my expression, you're going to rake these departments. We're going to have to go expand out a little bit more to see where we can. But Mr. Mohan said he'd be glad to sit down with me again and we'll try to go through. But I would like JW to ask in his department head meeting if he could ask departments what line items they could possibly afford to give anything up on. Again, I don't want to totally kill that line item. And if we do it on publication, we're going to wipe out a couple of departments.
I think we come back with multiple options. You know, we'll take a look at it, and then in the end, it'll be the board to make the decision. If we decide the board decides we don't have funds, we won't make the updates this year. We'll look at doing an agenda for next year or for the budget for next year. But like I said, the village clerk has done all the legwork. I appreciate her going out and doing all this and bringing the cost and, to us. So, but in the end, it'll be up to the board. Any other questions? All right. Now we'll move to item number 4, fence insulation, retention pond. Okay. So.
We can't hear you.
All right, so we'll table this into the next committee meeting, and that way that the trustees can get copies of all the bids and to be able to review all the information. I agree. Thank you very much. Move to item number 5, public comment. All questions and comments directed to the mayor. Each speaker will be given 3 minutes to comment on topics of their choice. Each speaker will be allowed 1 opportunity to speak. If you have anything, please come forward. Go ahead, please state your name for the record.
Good evening, Tammy Jones. 2 things. The first, I hear you guys talking about the code book, which is great, but you should know that your judges are not upholding what your police officers are writing tickets for anyway, so be it. But the other thing is, Girl Scouts has begun. I have troop leaders for kindergarten, 1st grade, and 6th through 12th grade. I am still looking for 2nd and 3rd grade brownies, 4th and 5th grade juniors. So if you know anyone interested in taking lead on those 2 troops, it would be great if you could give them my information. Thanks.
And is it okay if we have the village clerk put that on through an alert?
Yeah.
Okay. If you would do it again, please.
Tammy, excuse me, maybe you could specifically say what you're looking for, maybe that's what the mayor's saying. Could you send me an updated blast that specifically what grade you're determining?
Yeah.
Or then we'll get that.
Okay.
All right, thank you very much.
Frank, I have just 2 questions. One is about the petty cash fund. It's $2,000, right? Each month, $2,000 petty cash. That you all be asking. You know what's the last meeting?
Okay.
And I was actually talking about $2,000 that was on the budget to be approved for petty cash.
Okay.
And I don't see where anybody shows where if it was used or whether it was not used.
Okay.
Do you all show that? In other words, say for example, if you start off with $4,000 for petty cash, and you don't have to use quite $4,000 for petty cash, do you add another $4,000 or you just add up to what would equal to $4,000? And my other question is, when you pay the water, people, the public, if you don't get the full amount, why not pay what you have? I mean, I'm saying because you owe those people to pick up the garbage. And when the garbage piles up, you have maggots all over the place. You have things that you don't want to happen. So I think the most important thing is to pay the bills that detrimental bills. And the garbage, that's a very important bill to pay.
All right, thank you very much. You know, I have to take a look. I don't have the accounts payable from the last meeting, so we'll take a look at the petty cash. So I can't answer your question tonight, but we'll look into it. In fact, that'd be a finance committee question, so I'll pass that over to Trustee Williams. Since I'm trying to get out of this row of answering everything, try to pass out to the trustees. All right, with that said, I see no one else. So we'll go to miscellaneous business. We got comments from the board. Start with Trustee Myers. We'll start with you. Got a mic right in front of you.
All right. Okay, a couple updates. Been out for the 60th anniversary. I was asked to check in some items. I've checked into Carnival. We should have a list of different Carnival companies and what type of percentage they do it. Now, everybody has to realize you don't pay Carnival.
Hey, Trustee, if you can just pull back just a little bit, because I turned those mics up for the last meeting, so you should be able to talk to me. How's that? Try that.
I give you the microphone. All right. Well, the Carnival, you don't pay anything up front. A Carnival will give you a percentage, and I'm just using an example now. If a Carnival comes in and they will may set up a deal where, gotta be up there, set up a deal that you'll get 35% of the profit up to $14,000 or whatever, and then you get 50% when you reach $30,000, and it goes on up. You don't pay money up front. The worst part about trying to get a Carnival in is the date. And I need to meet with the committee and try to settle off a solid date where I can give these people that they can come back and tell us that they're going or not. And we have to make a positively decision on how many days. The other thing, beer tent, I was asked to look into a beer tent. First of all, okay, Bear. Beer tent, there's a couple things you have to do. You have to go out and purchase a gram shop insurance. You have to get a liquor license from your local municipality. You have to get a liquor license from Cook County. All that costs pretty good penny. But once you get that, then you have to follow the state's guideline on fencing the area off where you can't have minors inside the beer tent, and you have to have people, they suggest people at the entrance of it to make sure you check ID. I know the last one we had in this town years and years ago, the state actually sent out a representative, and they caught a couple minors in our beer tent, and we paid that big fine on them. The village didn't, the organization that was running the carnival at the time. Then the other last thing I was asked to look into other than that is the parade. And the parade is different. If you want just a small municipality parade where residents in it, businesses in it, no problem. But if you went to a parade that will last you an hour to hour and 45 minutes, 2 hours, which we have had, the last one that I put on for the fire department, and we had paid units in it. We had the Warrior Drum and Bugle Corps, we had the Medina Drum Corps, we had the Medina Cars, we had the Jesse Jackson Tumbler, Jesse White, thank you, the Tumblers. These all cost money. And I've got a couple feeders out there on them, and I was love some support from anybody that knows, like the Jesse White Tumbler that he represented on it, to get a hold of them and give me a contact. But yes, that's going to cost. But I can guarantee you it's a beautiful parade when you have people lying solid all the way down the walkway. I still have a lot of them. The state sending me all kind of stuff, requirements, and I do have four positive carnivals sending information to me, and 5 maybe. So sometime in the next 3 to 4 weeks, I'll have a whole bunch of information coming into the committee. All right. The other things, I'm going to probably meet with the clerk, and I'll look at the schedule for the village, and I'll probably will be changing my schedule for the ordinance subcommittee to meet based on a few things that happened with my wife and everything. So with that, the fire department fire prevention week is coming up. We had a dynamite display set up for the entire village. Unfortunately, the house that burned, they sold the house that burned today. So it was going to be open for the general public to walk through, see what type of damage a actual small candle fire can do to a house. And but once again, they sold it. So we're working with the housing commission to try to find another house that is safe enough that we can put through. I checked with the insurance carrier, and it's as long as we can provide escort through, and it's not a dangerous situation that you put the people through. And I felt that before we do anything, we'll have the safety director walk through it and take any suggestions from him. However, right now we're going to still be going to the schools, Frostburg, Wagner, Anvil, Rickover will be doing a special presentation to them. Those young people, we have to talk to them, and it's pretty much a good 35 minutes of lecture to them. Other than that, that's all set for the October. We're going to kick it off during October Fire Prevention Week. And once again, Meryl will be down in Champaign. This year, I will be teaching 2 classes down there, and I'll be gone for about 3 days at no cost to the village, Sauk Village. I pay my own expenses down there, and then I belong to the state board, Illinois Firefighter Association. They pick up my room and board. So, and that's all I have, sir. 13th to 17th. That's the whole week. 13th to 17th. I'll have more on it exactly with open house and everything next week.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Just a few things. First of all, I want to remind everyone, as usual, we have our meeting the second Monday of every month at 7 o'clock at the fire station. So we will be having our neighborhood watch meeting at 7 o'clock. We have a 6:30 committee meeting, and then we have our regular neighborhood watch meeting beginning at 7. I want to invite anybody that would like to attend to make sure that you do stop by at that time. Also, for the next 3 months, Neighborhood Watch is going to be basically focusing on our gridding. We had talked about, we have a map of the entire village. It is our goal to get a block club captain for every block in the village. We currently have a little over 40 block club captains throughout the village. It's approximately 86 blocks in Sauk Village. So we're trying to meet that goal by the end of the year. We do a little bit every day, a little bit every week. We're walking and knocking on doors. And I just want to say it's very enlightening talking with the residents. I think the chief is back there. I saw him, Chief Kowalski, been sending you a lot of phone calls. Was in on one block, found out that two neighbors actually are fighting each other. One got hit in the eye. You the neighborhood watch? I'm like, but I'm not the police. Call Chief Kowalski. And then got another phone call where a man, cat, got killed by a raccoon. He wanted to tell me all about that. I was like, okay, you need to call J.W. Fairman at the Village Hall. They will find out what that raccoon did, killing your cat. I am not the roadkill person, so it's just engaging, talking with the residents. Just so much going on in Sauk Village. It's a wonderful thing. So that's what Neighborhood Watch is doing. We're going to continue with our Light Up the Neighborhood. We tell residents to turn on their front and back lights. We're from Peterson to Carroll to Brookwood. Was over there after midnight last night, riding around just talking to people. You would be surprised to know the people that have begun to turn their front and back porch lights on. Also, I continue with, of course, with our no bullying, with schools starting back, no bullying, cyberbullying, one-on-one bullying, also no texting while driving. And I just want to say to all of those that's on Facebook that go live, please do not go live while you're driving in traffic. It is unreal, the people that go live and just talking while they're driving their car. I'm like, how you going live while you're driving? We talking about no texting, and you going live doing a whole series while you're driving your car. I'm like, wow. So we have been just educating people on being safe in their cars, on their blocks, and in their neighborhoods. Neighborhood Watch is a great committee. We're having a lot of fun. So if you know someone on your block that you think is doing what a block club captain would do. Some people can't come to the meetings, they're at work, they're babysitting grandchildren. Over by Orion, and that was the young man I talked to, and he told me, I promise you that if anybody comes on this block that's not supposed to be on here, on this block we have a phone tree and we all call each other and all the men come outside, and I promise you they get off this block. I say, wow, I want you all to come to my meeting to talk about that. I can't say everything he told me that they do, but the men on that block, they stand up. So I just wanted to applaud them over there. And so like I said, Neighborhood Watch, we're just going through the community, we're talking with people. I want to commend school board member Tammy Jones on her program with Girl Scouts. I did think it was a great program and I jumped on board, and I'm going to be working with Girl Scouts. I had the high school girls. She worked with Neighborhood Watch with the junior neighborhood, and that's what it's all about, committees and commissions working together. So that concludes my report.
Thank you, Trustee. Trustee Jones.
Well, I got a question for Neighborhood Watch.
Okay,
Do you have any stats or measures keeping track of percentage lights on or phone calls that was made from Neighborhood Watch block club captains or anything to that nature? Okay. I would like to thank everyone that came out to the Corner Dog Roast. It was a great day. The weather cooperated. No complaints, none whatsoever. We sold out all the corn. Hot dogs lingered around a little bit. There was about 280 ears of corn sold. It was about maybe 175 of the hot dogs. So hot dog lost once again. But they were pretty good though anyway. But and there will be no Uno this Friday. It'll be picked back up next Friday. And just thank everyone for the participation. Rosie, Debbie, Eric, Cecil, the Parks and Recs Committee, and any of the volunteers that came out. The mayor, for your participation with the hot dogs and the 3-on-3, and look forward to next year, bigger, better, and a few things on the intergovernmental partnership. They played a key role. The bake sale did awesome. I didn't need it, but still yoga and cupcakes, but bigger, better next year, and that concludes my report.
Thank you.
Mr. Mayor.
Just
One question, where'd you get your corn? That dynamite corn, man. We can pick it up at.
Smith's Farm, and thanks to Smith's Farm, for their cooperation and participation too, yeah.
It was good. I don't know if I said pat the cook on the shoulder or go down pat Smith on the shoulder. It was good corn though.
Yeah, it was.
Trustee Tate.
I'm just making some side comments for the grill master for the corn. The corn and dog roast, I think was real enjoyable this year. It did not rain as it did last year. So I think there were more children out there. Special thanks to all of the Sauk Village first responders who were there. Congratulations and thanks to Alan Maverick, who was recently appointed as the director a couple of months ago, I think. And he jumped right in, helping out at the corn and dog roast. He even brought his counterpart from the community of Malcolm, and they both ended up grilling hot dogs. But I think that was a great community effort. It was great to see the first responders step up to the plate and help out. I want to thank Barbara Campbell Pruitt, who's the chairman for the Intergovernmental Partnership team, who joined Trustee Jones and his Parks and Recs team in putting this together. And special thanks to all the members of Parks and Recs Committee who participated in getting this going. Special thanks also go out to Nan Wargo. As you know, she's the librarian, and she had her assistant, Devontae Turner, who was there, and they put on the movies for the younger children that want to watch. Zootopia and Panda something. I like Panda, but I didn't like Zootopia. But anyway, they had the two movies there. Ms. Wargo did an excellent job in keeping the popcorn popping and keeping it hot so the children were able to get it. Matter of fact, some of the basketball players, they even came over and got some popcorn. So I think special thanks go to her and her assistant for putting on the popcorn display for us. It really worked out well. There were a lot of volunteers that were not part of Parks and Recs committee. I think they deserve to be congratulated for pitching in and making this a good event. They gave their time and some of them their money to put on their displays of community involvement. And I think that was really nice to see that. Volunteers are sometimes hard to come by. And so when I see people who are not part of a committee, but they say, what can I do? Can I help? And they pitch right in, that was great. We had 4 teenagers that pitched in and volunteered. Of course, 2 of them I know a little better. One was Zach Ayers and Xavier Jones. I almost messed up his name. His son, Trustee Jones' son. They're both members of the Junior ROTC at Bloom Trail. They rehearsed, they had training all day long. At the end of that training, those 2 gentlemen came over and pitched in and helped us out, and that was great. They still had the strength and the endurance to help out in the corn and dog roast after being training all day. So to those 2 individuals, special thanks to them. And then we had Andy and Tyler Ayers. Adams, who, they're big guys. They helped out a lot, moving tables and stuff over there. But these are teenagers. Nobody beat them or threatened them to volunteer. They just came over and said, what can I do? What can I help? And that really helped a lot to see young people volunteering to help out in their community. And they probably learned a few things from the older guys that they were around. I hope the good things from the older guys that they were around to put this on. The other thing that was a little, I guess, distressing to me, I was approached by 2 gentlemen who I think were parents probably, who were upset that their sons' bags were searched and they were playing 3-on-3 basketball. And I referred them to the mayor and the chief of police, and you, Mr. Mayor, also as the daily person, to voice their complaints, because there was absolutely nothing that I can do about someone going through their children's book bags, and they said they were looking for a cell phone. I don't know. I was not there, and I have no idea. I don't know what they said. But they said the son's bags were searched by someone, and they said they were for the village. So I wasn't the one. I don't know who in the village searched bags, but that happened, and they were upset. And I think we should be careful about doing some of the things that we do, because it hurts our reputation as a community. Some of these guys that I know did not live in Sauk Village, but they were here playing basketball. And we should not treat them as criminals or suspects or any of that kind of stuff. So whoever did it in the village may want to consider not doing it next time if your phone gets lost, stolen, whatever. We have law enforcement personnel who could do that, and we should not take it upon ourselves to violate anyone's rights by searching their personal property. And that was the only negative thing that I got out of this whole thing, but otherwise it was a great day. Weather was good, the children ate everything they could find, and I saw little boys with fudge brownies. They were the largest fudge brownies I've ever seen, but they had them all over their face and clothes, so they must have been good. So the children enjoyed it, and that's what we're about. Corn and dog roast is supposed to be for families, to be with their children, and the children to enjoy, everybody to be happy. And I think we should keep that view and move forward in helping everyone else to enjoy whatever they could for the corn and dog roast. So to Trustee Jones and this committee, congratulations. I think you guys did a great job. Thank you.
Thank you, Trustee. Trustee Burgess.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I just wanted to say a couple of things. First of all, everyone remember on the November 11th at 11 o'clock here at Village Hall, we will have our Veterans Program. So if you know anyone that's a veteran, please inform them that all the veterans are welcome. You don't have to be a resident of the village, but you know, we would love for them to come out. This year we're going to have a few surprises in our program. So we would like for all of the veterans to please come out and partake and have fun. I just want to say tomorrow we will still have our town hall meeting here at 7 p.m. All are welcome. And just one quick note on the corn dog roast, something that I saw myself. I was able to stand there and watch things going on. I just have to say that the village did come together on that day. That it seemed like everyone left their, whatever you want to call it, differences or whatever at home. They came out, they enjoyed, they mingled, they intertwined with each other. And I saw that, and that was very good. I know we can do it. It's just that we have to take certain things out of it because we're all here together to enjoy this village. And I saw that, and I was kind of happy to see that we were able to do that, because there's not a lot of time, especially at the meetings, we're not able to do it. And I know we could do it, and I know we can continue to keep doing it. Also on the corn and dog roast, no one said anything about the baked goods. They left. They were gone. They sold those out. Oh, you did? Okay. They sold those out. I didn't get one. But they were gone. I saw there they were neatly packed, wrapped, and everything. I said, okay, as soon as I get through cooking, I'll get some. That didn't happen. So, but I just want to say kudos to Trustee Tate and Trustee Jones especially, because he had a lot of things going on, and also kudos to the mayor. You had the program going on. I was hoping that some of those guys, after they got through, would come over, but I guess they were too tired to come by to buy not just the corn, but the other things that were going on there. But They probably seemed like when they got through, they left out. So, but then again, those are teenagers. They probably didn't have enough money, but it was only $1. But we still had fun. Just goes to show you that if you plan it right, if you do it right, you get the right amount of volunteers, you can make anything happen. That's all I have. Thank you. I was just reminded, the person that was responsible for those delicious cakes and other partaking of sugary products is here, and that's Ms. Ayers. Could you please raise your hand or stand up, Ms. Ayers? She sold out. It was really good.
Thank you. Just as a reminder, the casino fundraiser for the 60th anniversary will be November 11th after the Veterans Day presentation here. There's flyers on the back table for anybody who's interested. And also the fundraiser for the 60th anniversary, we are selling the entertainment book apps, and anybody who is interested can see myself or the village clerk.
I think I was the one humming. How's that? Can everyone hear me back there? No. All righty. You can't say can you hear me anymore because he's moved to Sprint, right? So yeah. Is that one of my kids back there? All righty. I tell you what, everyone's talked about Saturday. We had a great day Saturday. We had a great event over at the Corn and Dog Roast. I thank Parks and Recs and Trustee Jones for all the work that you did on that one. It was a great event. We had the mayor's first 3-on-3 and free throw competition, and it just goes to prove Saturday where the youth of our community can come together, have fun. There was no fighting, there was no arguing. They were just out there having a good time. So, we had, and I'm sure I don't remember off the top of my head, but I know we had over 40 youth. We had a total of 8 teams. It was 3-on-3 where every team could have up to 4 people on their team because they had an alternate. We also had others that came out just for the free throw competition. Of those 8 teams, we had awards, and we had first place, second place, and third place awards. First place went to, and I got it pulled up so I won't forget here, the HTP. Their team came from Holy Tabernacle Praise, and that was Lawrence Taylor's team, so they made it all the way through the end. Second place team, and everyone named their own teams, was Team Ballers. And then the third place team was Team Money. So kids had a good time naming their teams and having a good time out there. We had a free throw competition, and I'll tell you what, it was for all ages, free throw, anyone, all ages. And I think the individual that won it, I think he was over 60 years old. It was unbelievable. He was sitting on the sideline, not saying a word. And as we all know, our youth, especially teenagers, were all talking about how they were going to walk away with the free throw championship award. They were all walking up there holding it, and they were all bragging about how no one could beat them. He sat there, he was very quiet. You had to make it to the second round to even win the championship. All these kids went through, and I think there was probably only maybe a couple handfuls that made it to the second round. And he was one of them. During the second round, they had to shoot 12 shots. And to be able to continue, you had to either tie with someone, and there could only be one champion for free throw. Well, he didn't have to worry about anyone tying with him. He made 11 out of 12 free throws. He walked up there, shot old school. He just went up there and shot, hit the front of the rim, and bounced it right in. And you should have seen all these kids just watching him. So he walked away with his free throw championship award proudly. And he told me that he was going to take the next day off work, which was Sunday, because he wanted to go to church and show everyone his award. So I like to also thank everyone that came out and helped. I know the kids, my kids were out there helping a lot. The girls were out there registering people. And of course, the boys, they participated in the 3-on-3 competition tournament, and they didn't make it very far. As you can see, they weren't in place 1, 2, or 3. So. But I told them the only reason they didn't make it to first place is because their father wasn't out there playing with them. So, I was trash talking Trustee Burgess at the very beginning. I wanted to see if he put his team together, and we were kind of like going back and forth. But he used to say, at the end of the day, I think he was as tired as I felt. So he was cooking corn, and I was out there reffing basketball games. So we let the kids have a fun time, and that's what it's all about. So again, I appreciate all the volunteers that came out and helped. I'd like to thank the Parks and Recs and Trustee Burgess, especially because he was the called the grill master, right? For the hot dogs and the corn. I know the kids enjoyed that. So again, it's all working together, and that's what's important. So we've got that. I'd like to mention. I made myself a bunch of notes. Oh, I know what. I met with Marla on Monday night to go over the community service position, so that I could get a better understanding of what was needed. After meeting with her, I'm hoping to be able to present someone next Tuesday night to the board for approval. I probably will meet with Marva one more time about the position, so I get a better understanding. The individual I had in mind, after they read the requirements, they said that they were not able to be able to do that position. So just because of time, the amount of time it looks like it's going to take. So I just want to make sure I let the board know that I did meet with Marva. So with that said, I've got one more thing. In fact, I've got a prepared statement. I just want to make sure that I read it. I've got a news release going out. So stick with me. I don't want to be too lengthy, all right? Today officially started election season for the April 2017 consolidated election. As I look back, it's hard to believe that there's only 7 months before the next mayoral election and the end of the first 4 years. Tonight, I'm informing the residents of Sauk Village that I am not seeking re-election as your mayor and will be retiring from politics at the end of my term in 2017. Let me assure you that no one's pushing me out of office. I've always been a fighter, and I would really enjoy facing some of these mayoral candidates in the next election. But I've served the residents of Sauk Village well. And as the Apostle Paul stated in 2 Timothy, I hope I'll be able to say at the end of my term, kind of emotional, so. I have fought a good fight. I finished my course, and I kept the faith. I'm reminded to a little less than 4 years ago when a group of residents asked me to run for mayor. At that time, I asked them why and explained that I was thinking about retiring from politics then. At that time, I was acting mayor, filling the vacancy for former Mayor Lewis Towers, who abruptly resigned. At the end of that term, I would have served as trustee for approximately 13 and a half years and acting mayor for 6 months, which would have been then a total of 14 years. However, at the end, that small group convinced me that it was for the best interest of the residents in Sauk Village to run, as it was bigger than me and my retirement from politics. So as you all know, I did. I ran. I reminded a group that I met with what I said just under 4 years ago. At that time, I told a small group prior to saying yes, that if I ran and was elected, I also told them that I would run one term at that time. Told them that I would make the hard and tough decisions, which some they may agree with and some they may disagree. If you look back at this administration, we've made the tough decisions that no other past or future administration could and would be able to make. Think about some of the stuff in the last 4 years. Tough decision was the Joint Dispatch Center. Tonight we had Joint Dispatch Center talking to us, or the community of Calumet Park. Tough decision. I knew most of those people that were on there. I was a police cadet with some of those. Retaining and recruiting businesses in Sauk Village. Look at WinPack, 350,000 square foot addition put on. Advance Auto. We brought Advance Auto to Sauk Village. We've got Title Next came when I was acting mayor. Daycare centers are opening back up again. Bella's opened up since under this administration. U.S. Post Office came back to Sauk Village. We've got a new dry cleaners. You think about the tax incentives for local businesses, what we did to help retain it and keep businesses. Dunkin' Donuts, Winpack, Bear Paint, Jacobs, Advance Auto. I know there's some few others that I just can't remember off the top of my head. Infrastructure repairs, we've got the new water treatment. Think about this, when I became mayor, the issues we had with the water treatment plants and loans and stuff that we had to get, and the state was so much involved. We were able to work with the state. The state was getting ready to come in and take over the village when I became acting mayor. We were able to get all that taken care of. We've got all of our treatment plants up and running, brand new. Think about the roads that have been done in the last 4 years. You know, in the last budget we talked about in the last couple of meetings, we only projected $400,000 for this year. I was attacked and said there's no way you can project $400,000. Think about $200,000 CDBG grant we just announced last week for multiple roads. $600,000 for Cornell and 223rd Street from the state, which was announced last week. Tonight we're talking about another $300,000 that we're going to be using from grants to redo Winpack Way. We exceeded what we estimated we'd bring in this year for roads. It's a long ways from $400,000. We're over $1.something million for roads just this year. And so we're going to continue to work on infrastructure repairs. We talked about roads, fire hydrants. Fire hydrants remains a top priority. I was talking to the unions tonight. Fire hydrants came up. We're still working on getting those repaired. Water main breaks. Our water main breaks are down. Why is that? Because of the amount of work that Public Works has done to make sure that we have a reduction in water main breaks. Businesses up to code. You know, residents, it's easy to come complain. But you know, I haven't heard anyone come in and praise all the work that was done over at Fairway in the parking lot. We've heard a lot of people complain because they said they went through and they were hitting the bumps. You know, every time something's coming, it's a make. So when the residents come, your comments don't go on deaf ears. You can see the fruition of the work and stuff that's being done when it comes to bringing businesses up to code. Enforcing our water bills. When I became your acting mayor and your mayor, many residents were not paying their bills. They were told on the previous administration not to pay them. We've got residents paying their bills. JW just presented to the board the increase in the amount of money we're bringing in because the water bills are being paid now. We are going out and digging up e-boxes. We are jetting. We are turning water off, and residents are coming back in and making their bills whole. How does that affect Sauk Village? It affects you because you know what? You're no longer paying for someone else. People are being responsible for what they owe. Ticket enforcement. We've started putting liens on property. Our debt recovery is off to a good start. We're going to continue. And something we started, we've got Chief Kowalski in here, is the reduction of crime. When I became your mayor, and when I ran for mayor, I said crime was the #1 issue. I get reminded constantly. I said they've got 4 ways to go: north or south down 220, north or south down 394, or east or west down Sauk Trail, but leave Sauk Village. We're going to continue forcing the criminals out of our community. Why and how are we able to do that? #1, we hired a qualified police chief. And Chief Kowalski is the best chief Sauk Village has ever had. And I'll tell you what, he is one who is going after the criminal. He's not one that sits in his office and does nothing, and he doesn't co-sign checks that should have never been written. Chief Kowalski is the one. Hiring additional officers. We put additional officers in place. We provided officers with the resources that were needed. We've worked with local, county, and state agencies, and as you know, Chief Kowalski's talked about how we've brought in South Suburban Gang Task Force and South Suburban forces to go off and go after these criminals. And they've had good results. That's because of the leadership of Chief Kowalski. So, I've always told Sauk Village is the greatest place to live and raise a family. Even prior residents that have left Sauk Village thinking the grass was greener on the other side know that I'm right. Think about it. That explains why those bitter prior residents go on social media and try to make Sauk Village look so bad. If their new place in life was so much better, why worry and complain about a community you left? One would think they'd be out there telling everyone about the better choice. Or you have to ask yourself a question. Was it? We still have 8 months left, and we will do everything possible to make sure whoever is the next mayor of Sauk Village is better shape that it was the way I received it. I live here, I will continue living here, and I will do my best to make sure that Sauk Village, as I just got done stating, is better. Again, I said earlier, people may not agree with everything I do, but I have a goal to make Sauk Village a better place to live, and a better place to raise your family. This administration will continue to fight crime. We'll work on making Sauk Village a better place to live, and making the needed repairs in our infrastructure, and recruiting and retaining businesses. I'm not going anywhere for the next 8 months. I'm staying here. I'm staying in office to the end of my term, and I'm not going anywhere afterwards. My wife and I, we have a house. We raise our family here. We're staying here. In closing, while we do have 8 months, I would like to take a moment to thank my wife Linda and children for sticking by my side. All these years, attending village events. I practiced it. I don't know how many times before I read this. I didn't cry one time. Attending village events, doing without me at family events because something was happening in the village. And waiting up for me all those late nights after meetings. Thank you to the residents that didn't agree with me on every decision, but still remembered that it's okay to disagree, but not be disagreeable. Thank you. God bless Sauk Village. Okay.
Right.